Hi everyone and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
And we're on day 2 of our article about trail running. Yesterday we found out what trail running was. In its simplest form, we learned it is running but on natural paths. So you go out into the countryside and just run on a natural path.
Right, and you can see different scenery.
Yep, it changes things for you, so it's a great way to explore nature as well as get some exercise. But there are a few things to remember before you try it.
What are they?
Well, you should start easy and take it slow because trail running shouldn't injure you or make you hate running.
That's right, and as you get better, you can take on harder trails and go faster, right?
That's right. You get more difficult, longer trails. You could even take part in a race.
And you'll be in luck if you do because Taiwan has many races.
Exactly. And to do a race or to organize a race, you need a group of people to kind of put the plan together, to hold it, to arrange it. And that's one of the things we're going to be looking at in part 2 of this article. Let's check it out.
Reading.
Introducing trail running. Get in touch with nature. You're never far from nature in Taiwan, even in the densest of cities. That means you're never far from a trail run either. This is what Peter Navanti discovered when he moved here in 2012. He was not a professional runner then, but he found that Taiwan was the perfect place to run in nature. Once, he went to visit his girlfriend's family in Nantou County. He learned by the end of the trip that he could happily run from Puli to Usha and back. That's a distance of about 40 kilometers. This experience inspired Navanti. He married that girlfriend from Nantou, Eva Lobo, and started a website that is called Beast Runners. He and Eva organized trail runs together. One of their most famous ones is called Formosa Trail. It has short, medium, and long runs. You won't know how much you'll love trail running until you try it. So, put on your running shoes and get out there.
So the article begins by saying you're never far from nature in Taiwan, even in the densest of cities. This is something I noticed when I came to Taiwan. There are a lot of parks, and even if you're in the middle of Taipei, you're maybe only an hour away from being really out in like mountains, forests, real countryside, not just farmland or flat areas, but proper countryside, even in a dense city. Now, this word dense kind of means thick, but depending on what we're talking about, it changes the meaning. Say you've got a yogurt or some cream and it's dense, that means it's thick, it's not very liquid, it sticks on the spoon in a big lump. When we're talking about a city, a dense city means there are a lot of people living there, the buildings are all quite close together. Think of Taipei, Tokyo, New York, these are dense cities.
Dense 这个形容词代表的是人口稠密的，好，在课文里面特别指的是人口。那 dense 你看到它字尾加上了 st， 变成了一个最高级。所以课文在说的是呢，在台湾你从来不会远离大自然，甚至呢在人口最稠密的地方也是。
Right, so Kaohsiung is a dense city, but Taidong, for example, isn't. It's not that busy or crowded. So let's look at the next part of the article, which says that means you're never far from a trail run either. So of course, if you're close to nature, there will be trails out there in the countryside. There'll be places for you to hike or run or something like that.
所以呢，文章接下来告诉我们那也代表你永远都可以从事越野跑这项运动。And then the article says, this is what Peter Novotny discovered when he moved here in 2012.
That's right. I think he's from the Czech Republic or Czechia, whatever that country is called now. I think it has a couple of names. But if we pronounce his name wrong, we are very sorry about that. But when he moved to Taiwan, and this was about 9 years ago in 2012, he discovered there are a lot of hiking trails and nature. To discover something means to find something, and it's often something that's either completely new or it's something that had been lost. We could talk about discovering a lost city, or we could talk about making a discovery, the noun form, in a lab. Some scientists discover something new and interesting. For example, we could say NASA sent a robot to Mars to see if it could discover any signs of life. That happened earlier this year.
Discover 这个动词呢，代表的是发现。那名词形式是 discovery， 常常搭配的动词是 make。Make a discovery， 它就是发现的意思。So, for example, after conducting hundreds of experiments, the scientist made a shocking discovery. 代表实验数百次之后，这个科学家呢有一项惊人的发现。那回到课文来，我们说 Peter 他在2012年的时候搬到台湾，发现了这件事情，也就是台湾非常适合越野跑。
So the next sentence in the article, we see that he was not a professional runner then. So this guy, Peter, he was not a professional runner then, but he found that Taiwan was the perfect place to run in nature. So if we call somebody a professional, or to use the adjective form like here, a professional something, professional singer, professional actor, we mean they do that thing for a job. It's not just a hobby, they get paid for it and it's their main source of income. Elsie and I are professional teachers. Now, I'm also an actor and a writer, but I very rarely get paid for either of those two things in my spare time. So I wouldn't say I'm a professional writer or a professional actor.
Professional 这个形容词啊，代表就是职业的、专业的。What about runner?
Well, a runner is just somebody who runs. It's fairly easy. You add ER and you get a runner. Teach becomes teacher, run becomes runner. Somebody who runs for fun or as a job. So let's look at an example sentence for that word. The runners lined up at the start of the race. So they're all getting ready to go. They're in a line. Then the gun goes off. Bang! They start running. By the way, the opposite of professional is amateur. We can say somebody is an amateur musician, means they play music for fun. They maybe even do shows, but they don't do it for money or not much money, and it's not their main job.
所以呢 runner 就是参加赛跑的人，或我们说跑者也可以。At that time, he was not a professional runner. 当时他不是一名职业的跑者，所以像刚 Pat 提到的，我们可以用 amateur 去形容他。So he was an amateur runner and he discovered something, right?
Right. He found or he discovered that Taiwan was the perfect place, and in fact is the perfect place, to run in nature. If something is perfect, it's pretty much ideal. There is nothing wrong with it. If you're taking a test and you get a perfect score, that means you got 100%. You did not make a single mistake. Now we can use this to mean exactly right, 100%, nothing wrong. But if it's just really, really, really good, you can still kind of call it perfect. It's all about how you use the word. For example, I could say, for me, the perfect vacation is 2 weeks on a beautiful beach. And I suspect Elsie will agree with me.
I do. So perfect 这个形容词呢，代表完美的、十分适合的。那 Peter 他发现要在大自然当中跑步，台湾是一个再适合也不过的地方了。
So next, the article says, once he went, so this is still Peter, once he went to visit his girlfriend's family in Nantou County.
有一次呢，他去南投县拜访女朋友家。And then the article says, he learned by the end of the trip that he could happily run from Puli to 雾社 and back. By the end of the trip 代表在旅程结束的时候，他发现他原来可以愉悦的从普里跑到雾社，再跑回去。And how far was that, Pat?
Well, I have no idea exactly where these places are, but in the article, we'll see how far they are apart. That's a distance of about 40 kilometers. And that is a long way. That is basically almost a marathon run there. Now, when we talk about distance, we are talking about a measurement of how far two places are from each other. You could ask, what's the distance from your home to your school or to your office? What is the distance between these two cities? Or it could be a small distance. What's the distance from the sofa to the wall? When somebody does a long jump in sports, you are measuring distance. How far did they jump? So this is all about how far. For example, in some races, people run for a distance of 26 miles. So that is a marathon.
Distance 这个名词呢，代表距离、路程。A distance of 后面加上距离，就可以表示距离有多远。那形容距离遥远的，我们可以用 distant 这个形容词。So, for example, she decided to leave her hometown and live in a distant country. 代表她决定远离家乡，到一个遥远的国家居住。那回到课文来，从埔里跑到雾社，再跑回去，一共是40 kilometers, 40公里呀。
That's right. And that when we're doing distance or talking about distance, we need something to measure that distance with. We need a unit of measurement. So we could use centimeters for a small distance, meters for a slightly longer distance, and kilometers or kilometers, both pronunciations are okay, for long distances. So a kilometer is 1,000 meters. Okay, so you can kind of imagine how far away that is. You might say, my house is just over 1 kilometer away from my school. Now, in some countries, miles are used instead of kilometers. If you go to the US and the UK, we still measure distances in miles. 1 mile is about 1.5, 1.6 kilometers.
没错 ，kilometer 这个字啊代表公里 ，kilometer 的发音也是可以的。那不过在美国、在英国，距离的单位多半用的是 mile， 也就是英里。好啦，所以40 kilometers 40公里这么远 ，and what does this experience do to Peter?
Well, it probably hurt his feet. By the way, kilometers, you can also say km for short, especially when you're writing. But what we see in the article is this experience inspired Novotny. To inspire somebody means to either give them an idea or give them some kind of encouragement and motivation, the feeling of, aha, I'm going to do something about this. I'm full of energy and this great idea, and I'm not going to rest until I act on it. It's inspiration is the noun form. You can inspire somebody by just telling them information. You can inspire somebody by giving them a great speech, or an experience could inspire you. It could make you feel like you want to make a change to achieve something.
Inspire 这个动词呢，代表激励、鼓舞，所以这一次的经验激励、鼓舞了 Novotny. And what did he do?
Well, we see in the article, he married that girlfriend from Nantou. We see her name, Eva Lobo. So he married that girlfriend from Nantou, Eva Lobo, and started a website that is called Beast Runners. So I'm sure most of you guys will know what a website is. You've probably gone on a website to watch this video. It's just a group of connected web pages. So usually there's one site, it'll have that same domain name, and there'll be a bunch of different pages on the World Wide Web that you connect to through the internet.
Website 代表就是网站啦，所以呢，我们的 Peter Novotny 他和来自南投的女朋友 Eva 结婚，然后成立了一个网站叫做 Beast Runners， 也就是跑山兽。
Yeah, beast runners could mean they're kind of running with the animals, or they are big, powerful animals and they run together. We see in the article that he and Eva organize trail runs together. So the two of them, they get a bunch of people who are interested and say, come here at this time, bring this, you'll need this. That is organizing. To organize something is basically to put a plan together to do all the work that is needed for an event to happen successfully. If you're organizing a class, you will need to know what you're going to teach. You'll need to print all the materials. You'll need to work out what the students will do at all the different times. If you're organizing a party, you'll need to know when, where, who's invited, what do people need to bring, what do you need to get. Here's another example. It takes a lot of time and effort to organize a wedding.
Organize 这个动词呢，代表是组织、筹划。那 organize 你在字尾加上 d 变成 organized， 这个形容词呢就是有组织的，所以像是一个有组织能力的人 ，an organized person。An organized company， 那就是有组织的公司。那如果你想要加强这个形容词的语气，你可以用 well organized 也是可以的。那一家机构组织是 organization， 是它的名词形式。那课文说呢，它和依法一起组织筹划越野跑。
So let's carry on with the article, and we find one of their most famous ones is called Formosa Trail. Now we've got the word one twice. The first one means just a single one. That one of their most famous, one of these. And ones in the second word we see in this sentence means trail runs. One of their most famous trail runs is called Formosa Trail.
那这个句子呢，你会看到有两个 one 出现，一个是句首的单数，一个是句中的复数。那句中的复数呢 ，once 代表 trail runs， 也就是越野跑，有很多，其中一个 one of them， 其中一个是什么呢？就是叫做 Formosa Trail 福尔摩沙步道越野赛。And then the article says it has short, medium, and long runs， 有短程、中程、长程的距离三种。
So if you're starting out, you could take a short one, and if you're experienced, you could go for a long one. Next, the article goes on to say, you won't know how much you'll love trail running until you try it. So it, trail running. So put on your running shoes and get out there. So there's a bit of an encouragement towards the end of this article. And this sentence also contains today's grammar point, which is the use of how. It's kind of similar to what we had in day one. How can mean to what degree or extent, or it can mean the way in which. So in this article, it's all about how much. You won't know how much you'll love trail running. You won't know to what degree or to what extent you'll love it until you try it.
还记得吗？间接问句的这个句构是什么呢？主词加动词加疑问词，再加上主词以及动词。今天呢，要特别来说课文中有出现的疑问词 how。那疑问词 how 可以带出不同的意思，像是可以问方法。原问句是 How did she get here？ 她怎么到这儿的？间接问句会变成 I asked her how she got here。那另外呢？How much 可以问的是多少，那后面要加不可数名词，或是问程度。所以呢，课文当中提到的是 You won't know how much you'll love trail running until you try it， 代表你不试试看的话，就不会知道你多么爱越野跑这项运动。And then we also see this phrase put on. What does this phrase mean, Pat?
Well, when we're talking about the phrasal verb put on, we're always talking about clothes. There are a couple of other meanings to it, but mostly it's clothes. Everything from putting a hat on your head to putting shoes on your feet and all the clothes in between, including accessories. You put on a ring, you put on a watch, you put on a necklace. You would then say take off when you mean get those clothes off your body. So you could say, don't forget to put on a coat, it's freezing outside.
或者是 You need to put on a mask before you leave the house. 离开家之前要戴好口罩。那课文最后说到呢，你不试试看的话，你就不会知道你有多么爱越野跑这项运动。所以赶快 put on your sneakers, put on your shoes, 穿上鞋，出发吧。And we've reached the end of our 2 days article.
That's right, which means it's now time to go to today's For You chat question.
For You Chat.
So today's question is, how long or far can you run? And how does it feel?
Oh, I can't run very far. When I run on the treadmill, I remember I can run for probably 15 to 20 minutes without stopping. And that's about it.
Yeah, when I was still doing a little more fitness stuff, I could probably do about the same, maybe 20 to 25 minutes before I wanted to take a break. And yeah, I just felt very hot, very sweaty, and that my legs needed to do something different, like sit down. I was a bit better at school at short distances. I would much prefer to run 100 or 200 meters very fast than run like 1.5 kilometers in a bit more slowly. I can certainly walk for a long time. If I'm doing a walk or a hike, I can go for hours, and I won't get too tired if we don't go too fast. But running, nah, these days I'm not going to be doing much running. Okay, well, that is all we have time for today. Whether you like the idea of trail running or you're not sure, you can definitely check it out. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst and you want to stop running, at least you can still hike and enjoy nature. And it's time for us to say goodbye. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Discover. Billy looked in the pond and discovered some fish swimming in the water. Runner. Usain Bolt is the world's fastest runner. He ran 100 meters in 9.58 seconds. Perfect. This hot, sunny weather is perfect for a day at the beach. Distance. The museum is a long distance away, so let's take a taxi. Kilometer. Kilometer. Kaohsiung is about 350 kilometers away from Taipei. Organize. If you enjoyed the party, thank Ralph. He is the one who organized it.
智慧小补帖
Dense. Professional. Inspire. Website.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net